welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Amen. So let's get into it. The irony of Elgin Baylor's retirement. Okay. Elgin Baylor retired in 1972. He retired during the season in 1972. Okay. And it's just unfortunate because not only because he retired during he retired the night the Lakers began their 33 game win streak. Okay. So the night that Elgin Baylor retired, that was the start of the Lakers 33 game winning streak. And not only that, he also missed out on the championship that had eluded him his entire career. So, it's just ironic, and it's also sort of heartbreak, and it's also heartbreaking too that he waited that long. Okay, but his timing was just a wee bit off as far as retirement. So he just missed out. Okay, so he just missed out on winning that elusive championship that he had won it. And I'll tell you another player that actually happened to. Pistol Pete Maravich, right? Okay, so Pistol was towards the end of his career. He was in the twilight of his career, and he had spent 1980 with the Boston Celtics. Okay, that was Larry Bird's rookie year. Okay, and he played well in a off the bench role. He did. Pistol Pete Maravich, and the Celtics, they wanted him to come back. Okay, the Celtics, they wanted him to come back, right? But I think Pistol Pete Maravich's his knees were bad, and plus I don't think he really had that much enthusiasm left for the game. So he retired after the 1980 season. And what happened the season after he retired? The Celtics won the NBA championship. Okay, so you just feel for Elgin Baylor and Pistol Pete Maravich that their timing was just a tad bit off in terms of retirement. Okay, and I think we would have been looking at Pistol Pete a little bit more differently if he had won a championship, and I think we would have been looking at Elgin Baylor differently if he was able to stick around for the rest of the year and be with the Lakers for that 33 game win streak, and also the elusive title that he had pursued for so long. Okay. So, John Starks and Patrick Ewing. Okay. So, let me give you a little bit more irony. Okay. So, it was Game 6 of the 1994 NBA Finals. Okay. Game 6 of the 1994 NBA Finals, and John Starks had scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. He couldn't miss in the fourth quarter, okay? And so the Rockets led 86-84, okay? And it came down to the final shot, and Vernon Maxwell recalls that. Vernon Maxwell says, he had John at that time. And what the Knicks did, they ran Starks off a screen and roll. Okay. So they ran John off a screen and roll. And you can see Rudy T put his hands in the air like switch, switch, switch. Okay. And so the Knicks ran the screen and roll. Starks put up a 3-pointer, but Olajuwon bothered the shot just enough with his fingertips to for the shot to come up short. Knicks lose. They go into Game 7. Rockets win the NBA championship. Okay, so here is the irony about that. Okay, so when they ran John off a screen and roll, okay, the Knicks ran John off the screen and roll, and Patrick Ewing was wide open underneath a basket. Okay, the Knicks ran the screen and roll. Patrick Ewing was wide open underneath the basket. And all Starks had to do was just get the ball to Ewing. And that game would have gone into overtime, right? And who knows if and the Knicks might have won the game in overtime. But again, Starks had scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. And he was on a roll, on fire. Okay. But it's just the irony that John Starks when they ran the screen and roll, that Ewing was wide open underneath a basket and could have tied a game and sent the game into overtime. Okay, so that's the first irony situation with John Starks and Patrick Ewing. Now, let's fast forward to the 1995 Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, I'm not Eastern Conference Finals, but Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 7. Knicks are down 2. They're at home, trailing the Pacers 97-95. Okay, so so they get the ball into Ewing, right? They get the ball into Ewing. They double team Ewing. He splits it. He goes to the hole. Bricks it. Knicks lose in 7. And that's pretty much the end for the New York Knicks as far as the Pat Riley era. That was pretty much the end. And he ended up going to Miami after the season, right? So, on that play, Patrick Ewing was expecting contact, okay? Patrick Ewing was expecting contact. It never came. And plus, it was around that time where Patrick Ewing's Achilles began to really bother him. Okay, so he couldn't exactly get the lift that he wanted to dunk it. And so, but this is where John Starks comes in, right? So, they inbound the ball to Patrick Ewing, right? And he's immediately double teamed. And while Patrick Ewing is immediately double teamed, guess who's wide open? John Starks. Yep. It's sort of like a role reversal, right? Ewing is double teamed. John Starks is wide open. But Patrick Ewing wasn't giving up that ball. Patrick Ewing, just like John Starks the year before, John Starks wasn't giving up that ball. And in 1995, Patrick Ewing wasn't giving up that ball to John Starks, right? And so, just the irony of those two situations. If those two situations had different outcomes, okay, then history could have been a lot different. Who knows? Maybe the Rockets would have won only one NBA title with Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon. But yeah, some things just are meant to be. So, but two of the most ironic situations in Knicks playoff history involve Ewing and Starks. Again, if Starks had decided to pass the ball to Ewing, the game would have gone into overtime in Game 6 of the 1994 NBA Finals. And if Ewing decided to make the pass to John Starks, who was wide open in Game 7 of the 1995 Eastern Conference semifinals, that probably would have been the Knicks and the Magic in the 95 Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, but it just wasn't meant to be. Just wasn't meant to be. Right? All right. That's it, and that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am out of here. May God bless you all. Peace.